Hey guys, Hannah here, Life Purpose Queen, awakening you to living your dreams. I got the strong message to come live in the shower, where I always get my intuition. I always get intuition anyway, but in the shower it came through really strongly. So I'm coming live to talk about this thing that I called the thing. The topic of the live stream. Hey, say hi guys when you join live. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you've been feeling weird still, or if it feels like it's shifted a bit. I got the message to talk about. It feels like death. It's always gonna feel like death. It's always gonna feel weird. It's always gonna feel everything. You're feeling great. Yay! Morning, Jenny. Because, I'm trusting you guys can hear me. Can you double check? Let me know that you can hear me. I'm like just talking away. I'm like, I'm assuming that you can hear me. Hey, Tammy. It's also final hours to come and join the Trust Intuition Tribe too, guys. The link is in the title of the live stream too. So let me know if you can hear me and let me know if it gets too windy. Hey, Tammy. I better show you where I'm walking. Oh, check it out, right? It's so pretty. So hard to come to the beach. Yeah, you can hear me loud and clear. Check out how pretty it is. Oh, it's pretty, huh? Hello. Awesome, you can hear me. You know where I am. It's beautiful, huh? So, this whole message that dropped in the shower, right? The messages in the shower. Who else gets messages in the shower? Does anyone else get messages in the shower? I know my Trust Intuition Tribe do. I know we speak about it a lot. Just guess why I say it, because I'm like, this dropped in the shower. I'm like, Who else gets that? Who's not? It's 7:12. Who else gets messages in the shower who's not in my Trust Intuition Tribe? Curious. Oh, it's beautiful down here. Best place for it. Yes, best place to receive messages in the Azure shower. So, all right, I wanted to stand at the beach. Be beautiful at the beach today. Check it out, it's beautiful. Some doggies and stuff. What I wanted to talk about, right, the message that was coming through really strongly and I really wanted to share is it's always gonna feel like death. It's always gonna feel weird, right? And even last night, like I know I posted yesterday, it's the water. You can stick your hands in the water and do readings, yes. You can do readings with everything, can't we? Everything we can do readings with. So, the message I wanted to share is around, like it's always going to feel like death. Even as I was saying, like last night, like when I went to bed, like they show me all these things when I go to bed. I'm like, trying to sleep here. So it was really interesting. It was like an eye, but it wasn't an eye. And it was literally like, I guess you could say a portal opened up and it looked like, I don't know, maybe it was like looking into space, but I knew I was looking somewhere else. And it was red, like it looked like stars and stuff, but you know how like when we've got the sky it's black and then the stars, this was like red and then the stars. And I fell asleep, obviously went there. 11:30 p.m. here, there where you are. Yeah, it's early morning here, well about 9:10. Say hi when you join, guys. So yeah, the message I wanted to share, like it's always gonna feel like death. It's always gonna feel weird. And this is where we gain the mastery over being human. Like, do you know what I mean? Like this is, it's always going to feel like death. And this is where I was saying, Tony, it's not like It's not like it always does, but when we're in it, it feels like it's forever. It feels like it's that, and especially when we first have a, you know, first spiritual awakening, or we're growing and evolving all the time, it's going to happen all the time. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, it's not like we kind of like get to the end and it's like, okay, that's not going to happen anymore. We've like, you know, not going to experience that anymore. It's like, we're human. We're going to experience all this human emotions for all of time, always, for as long as we're in a human body. And that the specific message that I got this morning around it's always going to feel like death is because as a soul in our body, right, our soul is limitless. We know this, right? It's ever expanding, it's limitless, it's connected to the infinite oneness of whatever you want to put a label on it that we can't even put a label on, right? Our soul is in our physical body, and our soul is still constantly evolving, still constantly changing, still growing in consciousness, like all the time. Like our soul never stops that. And then our human self is always going to feel like death, because our soul is ever expanding, our soul is growing in consciousness, our soul is limitless, our soul is all of that. But it's in this kind of physical body. So it's like got this almost contradiction, right? It's like, you know, we feel every emotion on the scale. There's the light and the dark, there's sadness, there's joy, that like in every emotion in between. And then with our soul and our human self, it's like our soul is always human expanding. Our soul is always human expanding. It's exactly that, right? Our soul is always expanding our humanness and stretching us to kind of go to the next level, or stretching us to expand to the next, you know, evolution of our human consciousness to keep growing, right? Our soul is the one, I guess, fueling that, you could say. And so to our human self, it's always going to feel like death. It's always going to feel like pain. It's always going to feel like, why is this happening again? Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like always breaking down our consciousness back to what we think is death. Yeah, and that's the thing, that, you know, like people have suicidal thoughts, and it's just like this whole thing of like, it's actually a part of us dying. Like it literally is our human self dying over and over and over again. A shake sneds its skin. A shake sneds its skin. A snake sheds its skin. Do I think there's such thing as someone being more evolved than someone else? To be honest, not really. No. Human conscious awareness, perhaps, but not. For some reason, I can't see the rest of your thought. Oh no, your thought. Oh my God, it's not letting me see the comment. All I'm seeing from you, Serene, is I couldn't sleep last night. So much different thoughts and grief. Good crying took place, sadness. So we can be born, rise again. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like that space of like, our human self is always going to die. So you know how like I always say to you guys, like, you know, like we've got the sadness, we've got the happy. Let's just talk about happy and joy. Happy and joy. Let's just talk about happy and joy, shall we? The old me dying, coming into the new true self. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like there's always going to be an old part of us dying. Do you know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a part of our human self that's shedding, that's dying. There's always going to be a part of us that's, you know, like we're always letting go. And I feel like the faster we, I don't know if it's the faster, but the more we do this inner work, the kind of faster that happens. And it's the number one reason why in my Trust Intuition course, I go through this in depth in module 1, because if you don't have a grasp on this, 1, you're never going to trust yourself. 2, you're going to be stuck in the pain and trauma for the rest of your life and not know how to deal with it. And it's like, it's really about just like understanding that we are constantly evolving and growing. Like our soul is always expanding. Our soul is always, you know, taking us to the next level. And it's our human self that gets caught up and feels like it's dying, right? And when we can be compassionate with that, when we can be compassionate that actually, yeah, there is a part of us dying. When we can be compassionate that there is a part of us that's always going to feel like that. There's always going to be a part of us that doesn't want to let go of a little bit of the old for whatever reason, shape and form, right? And when we can bring our soul, which, you know, you could, I mean, like, the soul doesn't have a word to it, right? But if we can pull out the emotion compassion and put that in the space to what our human self is feeling, we start to gain this mastery over why we even came to the planet in the first place, is to experience all of our emotions, to experience being human. And that includes not wanting to let go. That includes not wanting to you know, like feeling grief and like feeling like we don't want to be here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, be mindful that when you start having those thoughts, there's a part of your consciousness that is literally shedding right now. And when you can remember that, it kind of takes the, I don't know, takes it out of, I don't know what the word is, takes the sting out of being personal. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, do you know what I mean? And as we, you know, like get comfortable with our humanness and get comfortable with the cycles, get comfortable that our soul is always expanding, growing and wanting to evolve and like expand to the next capacity in all its shape and form. When we know that, and we also know our human self is being stuck, like, you know, stuck here in the 3D and is kind of like keeping up, we can have compassion for that and hold space for it. Okay, cool. And then we come back into a balance rather than being in one extreme or the other extreme. Something to be said about staying asleep. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But for me, thoughts, feelings, and thoughts are so strong, they are hard to deal with sometimes. Yeah, and this is where, hey Shasha, this is where, Christine, I'm trusting that you've shared this too, by the way, I forgot. And I'm wondering if you can please get the Trust Intuition link and pop it in the comments for me, please. Christine, that would be awesome. Yeah, Glenn, when you're saying like, but for thoughts and feelings, but for me, thoughts, feelings and thoughts are so strong, they're hard to deal with. Yet, and this is where, like, this is what I'm always harping on about in my Trust Intuition tribe. I'm always talking about it, to be honest. And you know, and it's hard if you've never had somebody hold space for you, if you like really hold space for you, not tell you what to do, not fix you, not tell you you're wrong, not like, you know, say you've got a problem, all of this. If you haven't had somebody hold space for you, it's kind of hard to deal with. If I didn't have a mentor showing me how to hold space and her holding space for me over these past 5 years, I would not be where I am today. I would not be teaching this stuff, because it is hard to do it on your own if you don't know how to do it, if you haven't had somebody do it for you before. So totally get that, Glenn. Hey Cody, my man. It's that, you know, and that's why it's like came to me in the shower this morning to like get on live stream and tell you guys, like, it's always going to feel like death, because I know. And I know right now, like when I saw that portal last night, and as I said, it looked like the space, it looked like space, but it wasn't black, it was red with stars. When I saw that, and then like this morning, like I just got the message that it's like whatever our Earth, planet, atmosphere, universes, whole bigger picture outside of our universes thing has ever, whatever it's aligned with at the moment, it's like something is like all the portals will open. Now I really need to speak to this too. So there's been so many of us that have been sensing spirits around, and it feels like earthbound spirits, and then it also doesn't, right? It's a catch-22. Like there is earthbound spirits, but it feels like the people who are around at the moment and who are coming to us, and I really want to point this out. So the people, like there's a lot of sensitives, a lot of like people in my tribe, a lot of clients are like, oh my God, like this person was in my room, and you know, like, and like all this stuff going on at the moment. It feels like the veils are thin, but it feels like the portals of dimensions are open at the moment and really connected, and there's lots of beings from other places coming in and out. And like they're coming to you guys for a reason. Like if you're aware of them and you're sensitive and you pick it up and you sense them and all of that, like what that is that it's you've got something, or your light is bright enough that one, they can see you, and you sensing them. I don't like saying this, but you've attracted it for a reason. In a sense, like there's a message there. There's some sort of, I don't know if it's connection, but there's something there, or they kind of wouldn't be there, right? So again, Trust the Intuition. Christine's just dropped the link in the comments there. So like I go through all of this. I go through why they're there. I go through why you've attracted it. I go through how to heal that, how to shift that, and all of that that's there, so that we can keep growing and evolving and not get stuck, or not think that we're cursed or anything like that too, right? So it's really knowing why they've turned up in the first place, knowing what to do about it, and it just feels like this portal in time now, like, and I'm kind of sensing, like, you know, as I said, like 6 weeks ago, I got the message that on the 23rd, 24th of this month, of October, like in the full moon last week, it's going to, like, the star beings or consciousness, right? And I know I've shared this, so I won't go into it too much. The consciousness, it's like we're embodying the consciousness now. I'm getting the message that, like, and as this, like, has come in, it's like the portals and dimensions, like whatever our universe is lined up to, it's like all of these portals are open. There's a lot of people coming in and out, and it's like being mindful about what your energy, and this is the other thing I want to share. This is another really, really freaking important point, right? Because there's a lot of people that I'm seeing, myself included, feeling weird, feeling strange, feeling stuff, right? And I got the message driving here to the beach this morning to share with you as well, right? There's a couple of clients, and we've all felt it, like, we're like, it's weird energy, and it is, because the portals are all lining up. Like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of portals open at the moment. For whatever friggin' reason, there's a lot open, there's a lot of timeline changes, there's a lot of time collapsing, there's a lot of, I don't know how to say it, reality's changing as we know it, like, pretty much, is you know, at its core level, what's going on, reality is changing at its core level, like, this, in a nutshell, that's what's going on, right? And it's like, well, how do we deal with that? It's like, as I was saying, like, it's always going to feel like death. It's always going to feel like something's weird. It's always going to feel like that. And it's kind of like what's going on when we're in that space is our logical mind is trying to figure out something that we just can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, if reality is really shifting into the 12th dimension or whatever the freaking hell it is, that's not a conscious understanding. That's an embodying being space. Yeah? So when we can be in that space and be okay that that's what's happening, that we're shifting in, like, our reality is totally shifting and it's gonna feel weird, the most important thing that I want you guys to remember is that you are, and you're gonna be like, well, I know this, Hannah, but I'm really feeling called to share this. You guys are highly sensitive. You're extremely highly sensitive, right? What is happening as our reality is shifting is you're becoming even more sensitive. You're becoming more in tune, right? And what the strong message that I want you guys to take away from this and remember is that you're not only feeling your own stuff, but you're feeling everybody else's stuff. Now, what I mean when I say that is that people like us pick up other people's subconscious stuff well before they are aware of it. So something might be feeling off, something might be feeling weird, something might be feeling, what is going on? Like, why is this happening again? Or you can't place your finger on it, right? When you're in that space, you're usually picking up somebody else's subconscious stuff that you can't put, it's not yours. So it's kind of not yours to figure out, to deal, but because we're so sensitive and empathic, we feel it. But what happens is when we can train ourselves, and this takes training, it takes damn well practice, to be comfortable in that uncomfortable stuff that, you know, you recognize, you're like, oh, okay, I must be feeling somebody else's stuff, right? There's always ways to check if it's ours. It's not about blaming another person. It's not saying that we don't have stuff, because fuck, we do have stuff, right? And I want to point this out. Whatever you're feeling in somebody else is being reflected to you, and you've got stuff going on too. Like, you wouldn't be feeling it if there wasn't some sort of a match there too, by the way. It's like, it's all them. No, it's both, right? You're bringing your awareness to this, because I really got the message to share it again today on the way here, that we are becoming so sensitive, and in that meaning we're being so sensitive everyone else's stuff at the same time all the time. But especially when we're deeply connected to somebody, we feel their stuff more, right? Or we've got a friendship, or we've got a connection with somebody, right? We feel their stuff. So when we can be aware that we're picking up their subconscious stuff, it takes the, like I said, takes the personal sting out of it, just like, you know, we're always dying, right? It's always our human self is growing and dying and all of this. And then when we can know that and know how to hold space for that, in a sense of like, one, it's not our stuff to deal with. Yes, it is our responsibility to look inside ourselves and see why we're attracting or what's coming up for us in response to that. And it's not our job to point it out to somebody unless you have that conscious communication understanding with that person. It's also our job to do our own inner work, to hold space to hold that. Not hold it, but it's not our job to deal with their stuff, but it's our job to be conscious of what's going on in the space. Even though we don't consciously understand it, we can feel it, right? And I got that message to share, like, you know, as we keep growing, evolving, as like planets moving and all these evolutions of whatever's happening right now, we're just becoming super sensitive, like way more sensitive than we've ever been before. Like at its core, that's what's going on. So as I always say, self-care, self-care, self-care. Get support, right? Learn how to hold space for your emotions. Learn how to hold space for your human self that is always going to be going through this death, birth, rebirth cycle all the time, because our soul is limitless expansion and growing and evolving all the time, and our soul is stuck in this little human body. So it's like our human self is always going to be doing this, right? It can't be one without the other. It just is. But we learn and we get savvy with how to support ourselves in that space so it doesn't floor us for so long. But that only comes when you know how to hold deep space, and you do hold deep space for yourself, and sometimes you do need help in learning how to do that, right? So if you want to work with one-on-one with me, of course, send me a private message and we can go from there. But I really got that message to share with you guys in the shower. That's why I said it. So I'm like, God damn it, other work to do. It was like, no, you need to talk about this. I'm like, okay, yes, that is always a part of us dying. So how can you support yourself and bring that emotion of compassion off the scale and then hold it underneath your human self and just be with that, right? Not judge it, not make it worse, not think, why am I doing this again? Why am I feeling this again? You know, like none of that, none of that, none of that. As we move into these other dimensions or whatever's happening, and we're becoming even more sensitive, let alone the personal development work we're doing, we're becoming more sensitive in itself too, right? And so when we are able to continue being aware of how sensitive we are and how much more sensitive we are, plus the work that we're doing to make us more sensitive too, and we're moving into these other, I don't know, I'm just going to call them other dimensions, like what we're doing is we're coming out of our head and we're coming into our heart, and our heart doesn't judge. It might have pain and then you might be judging, but you've clicked back up into here, right? The heart doesn't judge, and this is where I'm saying that full scale of emotions, and you've got your soul and you've got your human self and you've got compassion. Let's pull that out and let's just hold it under our human self for a moment, right? That's coming into the heart consciousness. If you've got all this going on out here and you've got head and heart, the heart holds the whole thing, yeah? That's what's going on, right? And I've got that strong message to come and share with you guys, right? Your best thoughts and thinking happen in the shower. Yeah, who knows why that is? Does anyone know why that is? I got told one day that, I'm just going to answer the question for you. You're so welcome, Cody. I got told once that, because I was like, why do I always get messages? I was talking to my friend, like this was years ago, like driving or in the shower or dishes or cleaning, like, you know, vacuuming or whatever. And the woman I was talking to at the time, my friend, she said that there's some significance about the way we're moving our hands or our arms, like in that way, like there's something to do. And obviously in the shower we're, you know, cleaning or whatever, but obviously then we're standing or also cleansing, you know, our energy with the shower as well, with the water and all of that too. I don't know, but there's something about it. So I don't really know the technical thing about this. So actually, I don't know. Why do we get those thoughts? Okay, I just got the intuitive message. Just got the intuitive answer, actually. So it's like, because, okay, here's the thing of the live stream. Got it. Always get the intuitive answer. So, you know how I called this live stream, and if you jumped on at the end, you might want to watch the start, right? So, oh, my thing just, okay. So, the intuitive message is when, you know, okay, so you know how I just said, like, we're always going to feel death, right? We're always going to feel death. We're always going to feel it, right? Because what happens in that space, yeah, is we're human and we're here to master it and to bring our soul expansion to that humanness, right? So when we're in the shower, when we're driving, when we're falling asleep, when we're cleaning, when we're doing the dishes, when we're working, we're doing the mundane, right? We're doing the mundane human things. We want to talk about mastery and our soul mastery, and we want to talk about why we're here to experience humanness. It's in those moments. My thing's gone all funny and I'm sweating because it's hot in the sun. We're in those moments, having all my human stuff going on, right? It's in those moments of the quote unquote mundane stuff that we have I'm getting this as a message, we have the biggest soul expansion moments. Isn't that interesting? We come here to master humanness. We can't, like to experience being human. So in the most mundane things, we are experiencing that soul expansion. Like we're most connected. We're like in that space, right? You know what they say about the chopping wood thing? You know that thing? What do you do after enlightenment? Still chop wood or whatever the saying is. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that, right? Like, that's the message I had to come and share. Like, we're here to build our mastery. So Glenn says, I don't know if I want this super feeling stuff anymore. It's too much for me. Yeah, and it gets too much, Glenn, when we don't know how to process it, when we don't understand it, when we don't know how to process it, when we don't know how to hold space, or we've never had someone hold space for us, when we don't know like what is going on and how to support ourselves. And it's a big part of what I teach in Trust Your Intuition. Pauline says, just before you go to sleep, yeah. And there are guys in Trust Intuition course, by the way, Glenn, just saying, but it is that, it gets harder. It's harder when we don't have the understanding, right? It's kind of like, we go to school and we learn the ABCs and all that sort of jazz so we can write or whatever the story is, right? It's kind of like spirituality doesn't come, and being human doesn't come with a manual. Right, especially dealing with our emotions, especially dealing with energy. Like, well, where's the manual for like being spiritual in this like human world? And that's like what I'm passionate about, is teaching you guys how to still function and be highly sensitive and be deeply connected and in tune and still function in our modern world without being wiped all the friggin' time, right? That's why I'm being told to simply focus on me and my son. Yes, exactly. Oh, I love you too, babe. Okay, I'm going to jump off here because my thing's gone all funny and I'm sweating in the sun, but I've said the message I wanted to share. That's exactly what I came on for. If you didn't watch the start of this live stream, I highly recommend you do. And Trust Intuition's final hours to get in for the early bird, and then final round of Trust Intuition opens tomorrow. So the link is through the comments. You can also send me a message if you've got any questions about it, and I shall see you soon. Keeping it real as always, guys. Lots of love. Namaste.